guest tonight has been working tirelessly trying to negotiate the writer's strike, which we'll get into in just a second. But he wrote the critically acclaimed film Honor Society. You can watch it right now on Paramount Plus. And you've seen his name many, many, many times in the Family Guy credits. I feel like I only remember two names from Family Guy. Yours, because it's David A. Goodman. And in my mind, it was David, a good man.
Oh, that's sweet.
And then also Kirker Butler, because it's such an unusual name and it sounds like a dude at Harvard who's like in a frat who like hazes the newbies.
I would think that the name that people mostly would remember for Family Guy is Seth MacFarlane, but I think the other name was Cherry Tiva Pravadumram. You don't remember that name across?
Yeah. How do you say that? How do you say that again?
Tiva Pravadumram.
Wow. How long did that take you?
I got pretty fast, Anthony. It's not that hard when you meet the person.
Is Cherry a female?
Yes.
Yes.
Very talented writer. She has.
Look at you. Yes, like Anthony.
No,
you
I've
have
looked
no
her
idea.
up. I've looked her up.
All
yeah,
right.
she's on.
She's got a movie coming out. With that Adele Lim directed, and I'm blanking on the name. Oh God, this is terrible. Asian cast. It's big funny comedy movie. Joyride maybe or something like that. I'm sorry. This is terrible. I feel like I
Listen,
feel terrible.
You get
now.
a pass because you have been.
I'm looking it up right now. Look up, Anthony. Will you look her up?
I'm looking it up
on there.
Okay, Anthony will look it up in the
now
meantime.
I got to figure out how to do it. Okay.
You get a pass because this is a crazy week. You are. I love the fact that. So I got in touch with David and I was just like, hey, I bet you're really happy you're no longer the Writers Guild president. And he's like, yes, but I'm on the negotiating committee.
I'm actually the co-chair of
the co-chair of the negotiating committee, which is why we wanted to have you on. So if people, I'm sure people know by now that there's a writer's strike because it's been going on for a while. Where are we with the writer's strike? Do you think this is going to last a few more weeks, another month, the rest of the year? Like, what do you think?
I don't know, and I would never predict at this point. We were in negotiations with the companies. We reached an impasse because they were stonewalling us on some of the issues that we raised, and we knew we needed to make some important strides for our deal, given the way the business has changed, because writers are really facing an existential threat to the idea of being able to stay a writer, whereas the companies we work for are doing just fine. They're spending billions of dollars. They're making billions of dollars. We're not asking for the world. We were just asking for enough to survive, and they were even unwilling to open a conversation with us about it.
And that's really the crux of it. It has to do with the fact that they're unwilling, really, to pay writers a living wage. You're not asking for millions and millions, although, God knows so many of you deserve it because you're the ones who made them billionaires. If it wasn't for the writers, right?
You didn't need to have me on, Cooper. You got it all right there. I couldn't have said it better myself.
No, because it makes me mad because it's like, you created the stars, not the other way around. We wouldn't know about Millie Bobby Brown if it wasn't for the Duffer Brothers. They're the ones that should be making the money, and all the writers there. They made Millie Bobby Brown, not the other way around. And that goes for every other show.
I mean, and there used to be a real path to success. That's the thing that's changed, is that those writers who created valuable properties for their production companies did used to have a path to success, path to a good life, the brass ring, and now that path is kind of gone. You can create a show that's successful for company, but make less than you used to, and then so all we're really saying too is for the writers who work on those shows, who are maybe not the person who created it, but are the ones who are writing the scripts and on the staff of the show, that those people are contributing value to these companies and should be properly compensated.
Cherry, by the way, the new movie is Joyride.
Joyride. Oh, I did have the right title. It's a great trailer. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but look it up. It's a hilarious trailer, and it's a great movie. It's going to be fun.
And her resume is Family Guy, The Orville, same as you, Nora from Queens, and Resident Alien, which is one of the best TV shows.
I was going to say Nora from Queens is one of my favorites. Yeah.
Resident Alien was created by Chris Sheridan, who I worked with on Family Guy, and very good friend and a very talented writer.
Yeah, but I think the writers are what people. I love the fact that you guys are bringing attention to this publicly and nationally. It's not just a little fight your union is having. This is a conversation, and people are really concerned. They're like, "Wait a minute, is there going to be any more of my favorite show?" And that's their big concern. It's like, yes, that should be a concern. That's the point of all this. You know, you love Succession, you love, Family Guy, you love The Orville, you love all those shows because of the writers.
Right, and that's very well said. Thank you. I think that's exactly the point. We're saying we create a lot of value for and the whole point of being, the whole drive to be a writer is to sort of share stories, share your humor, or share drama, and create these stories and look for a connection to that audience out there. And the companies understand that there's profit in that. There's profit in the fact that people in my union want to create things and are looking for that connection. And that when you make that connection, when you create something that's popular, that speaks to people, that makes them laugh, makes them cry, that's a profitable business. And so all we're saying is just pay us enough. I know writers now. When I entered the business, if you got a job on a writing staff, you could survive. You could buy a house, have a family. Like I had my first 10 years of my career, I worked on a bunch of shows, most of which you've never heard of, but I was paid enough so that I could establish a life for myself and stay in the business. Now there are writers who work on a show and have to take a second job. And obviously that's a very common thing in America to have more than one job. But since these shows that we're doing are so profitable, that shouldn't be the case that this writer has to go get a second job to make ends meet. That's just ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can't imagine like being at a restaurant and asking the waiter, like, so what do you do? Oh, I write for Only Murders in the Building. What? Excuse me? Like that's...
So what happens if somebody crosses that line and writes for The Tonight Show? What happens?
Well, that's called scamming.
Right.
And that person can never be in our union.
Got it. So
in the middle of a strike,
they'll never work again. Like it's career suicide.
They might work again, but we will, if we find out that somebody has crossed the picket line and written for one of the shows that we're striking, or one of the companies that we're striking, and we find out who that person is, that person will go on a list, and the membership will know that this person decided to look after their own self-interest as opposed to the interests of their union, which is there to protect them, to provide them with health care and residuals and minimums. And if writers ignore that, whether they're in the union or not, that matters to us.
Well, I'm not going to get coal in my stocking. I'm on the nice list because as a union member myself, as somebody who's part of SAG-AFTRA, I went today. There was a strike picket line just 2 blocks from where I live. So I went over there and supported my union, supporting your union.
We've had a lot of support from SAG, a lot of support from the Teamsters, a lot of support from IATSE, and even the Directors Guild, which historically has not supported us, but this year is stepping up and being a great partner. So it's very meaningful.
Is that because there's so much crossover, actors who direct and directors who write and that sort of thing? I
mean, maybe. I do think that it's more likely that everybody's suffering. Everybody is seeing that this fight that we're taking, our fight is their fight, that we're the tip of the spear, and that the things we're taking on, if we win, positively affect their ability to get better contracts.
Do you see an ending in sight or no?
She asked me that already.
Yeah, I know.
But you didn't answer it.
You didn't answer it.
Again, like, you're dealing with multinational corporations. I can't predict what's going on in that room with all those companies. I all I can worry about is how are our members feeling? Are they feeling strong? Are they feeling that the fight is worthwhile? Are they willing to keep fighting and doing everything we can to make this do everything we can so that they can tolerate this pain that we're making them do. And but so far, at least this first week, the members are completely on board. They understand the importance of this fight, and they're ready to go. I mean, they saw how intransigent the companies were regarding our opening offer, and they really angered them, and they're ready to fight because they recognize we have to.
But didn't you say that it's like a line item for these billionaire companies? You're not even asking them to dig that deep.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, there's a lot going on there, which, I mean, you're right. I mean, and, Apple, I don't know if I missed this, right? Apple just had a $90 billion buyback of stock. And wow. It's not up to Apple to take care of the whole Guild contract, but clearly their piece of this wouldn't matter to them. They have plenty of money. So this is really about labor versus management. This is about companies not wanting to give a union an easy victory, saying to this union, you want something, you want this, you're going to have to fight for it. You're going to have to suffer a little for it, because we don't want to send a message that we're going to give a union something they just asked for, even if it is completely reasonable.
And as the co-chair of the negotiating committee, what's your day-to-day? Do you every day knock on the door and be like, are we going back? What's happening? No? Okay, I'm going back to the picket line. Like, how do they contact you?
Well, we were in negotiation for 6 weeks. And if our chief negotiator gets an outreach from their chief negotiator, then there'll be an organized return to a negotiating place. But we haven't heard anything yet, and I'm not sure when we will. But when we do, we're ready to get back in there, assuming they're willing to address the concerns we've raised.
But aren't they concerned? Because sorry, Anthony, I have a lot of questions about this.
No.
Every time
Anthony's
see
just going to ask me again how long it's going to go on.
That's
how
right,
long do you think it's going to go on?
He's worried that his favorite shows aren't coming back in January, or September for that matter. Sorry, I'm right by a window. Can you hear the sirens?
No.
Okay, good. Fantastic. I wonder if it's having a positive impact or no impact at all that every star of every show and every celebrity is also getting on the picket line. So it's not just the writers, they're being supported by the people they write for. I see everyone from like Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Pete Davidson, everyone has been, every time I turn around. And I wonder if that's having an impact, because I mean, let's face it, the studios are all such star fuckers, so they must love that or hate it, really.
I mean, the support is meaningful to us. The support is meaningful to those writers on the picket line when you see somebody who is perceived as being a powerful player in this business coming out and saying, "I'm for you." I mean, J.J. Abrams sent me a picture today of him picketing, and people are going to see that. That's a meaningful. I mean, he's a member of our guild, so he's supposed to picket, but he's picketing, and like that. Mm-hmm. That when people see somebody like that out there, they realize, oh, we really are all of this together, and I think that's the more important piece of it. Like that I don't know how the companies react to. The companies are reacting to the fact that Teamster trucks are being turned away from some studios because they won't cross picket lines. So that means that the shows are having to shut down. That is what matters to these companies. That
Right. That's
that the
that's going
picket
to hit them in the
line-
pocket. Right.
Yeah, that hits them in the pocket. That the writers aren't writing these scripts. That these shows aren't continuing production. That is that's what they're worried about.
So the first shows that get hit pretty much are the late night shows.
Yeah, they went dark this week. I mean, those are great Guild members. Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel and John Oliver and Jimmy Fallon, Seth Meyers, Bill Maher's show is dark this week too. You know, those are members of our guild who are saying, I'm with my writers. I do a show with writers. I'm a writer. There's no point in us being on the air when our union is on strike. We're not going to, which is great. I mean, a great show of solidarity from our members. These are, those guys are members of our union.
And what about, are there shows that are in the middle of production right now that have shut down right in the middle?
Well, my show, I was doing a show in Atlanta called Hysteria for Peacock. I had to leave it. It's still shooting, but they don't have all the scripts, so that's probably going to affect them at some point.
So at the end, what are they just going to do? Just sit there and stand in front of the camera and go, ta-da! Like, what do you how do you handle it?
Well, I mean, if they don't have the scripts, they're not going to be able to shoot anything.
Right. Of course. I didn't realize you were doing something else. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're always busy.
I try. I only come on here when I'm busy, so that's why I don't see.
When you're not busy, we don't want to hear from you.
You don't hear from me when I'm
you
not
got nothing
working.
going on.
How long do you think this strike? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm allowed to do this. I'm going to promote my comic book.
Oh yes, please.
Space Job. Space Job.
What is that? Tell us all about it.
Wow.
It's a comic book about kind of working on a spaceship is kind of a bad job. That's the one liner. So, if your captain's an asshole, it's a bad job. So that's essentially the premise of it.
Did you create that? Oh, sorry.
Always space. Always
I
something
know.
to do.
I'm
with
Star Trek,
I'm
and I
into
know he
space.
loves
Back to
the
Star
Orville.
Trek.
I'm into space. Yeah.
Did you create that before the Orville or because of the Orville, or no connection whatsoever?
It's been simmering for a long time, and then I actually I did the Orville comic books specifically to create a relationship with a comic book company, Dark Horse, and then I pitched them this, and it's 4 issues, and it's been a lot of fun. So
What is that like, that you just have so much creativity? You always have something to write, something to do, a script. Like you're always, it just never ends. It never stops. Is it? I mean, do you lay in bed at night?
It doesn't end because my mortgage doesn't end.
Oh, okay.
So that's you. I mean, I love what I do, but I also maybe push myself harder on the creative stuff to make sure that I can keep living in my house.
Yeah, but I don't get the impression from you that you're sitting in front of a computer going, okay, let's see, there's a guy. No, there's a girl.
In space.
I get the impression, space, right. Let's just always do space. I get the impression that you just have so many ideas and you just have to actually just sit down and let them happen to you.
Yeah, that's not right.
Really? I can't picture you sitting there being like, huh.
That comes back to the Writers Guild. That writing is really hard work. You have ideas, you have things you want to say, but the actual work, the actual sweat of putting them down on paper, shaping them, making them into something that somebody wants to see, either wants to read or watch on a show or a movie theater, that is, what was it? Well, 5%, 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. Like you, that is hard work. And that's the other reason we're demanding what we're demanding, is that that the work we do is hard. If it wasn't, everybody could do it, and everybody can't do it. And so we are a specialized labor force, and we're asking to be properly compensated for the value we deliver, because writing is hard.
And with streaming continuing where it's going, this could never end. I mean, there could be a new streaming platform tomorrow and a new way of watching
content,
TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that probably where the future that we're headed is even to more consolidation. That these companies still get bought up, and you end up with less streaming platforms and more these four streaming companies, whatever they end up being, control all the product. And that's the other reason why you need a good union contract to protect you, because once there's that little competition, they can set the table in a way that hurts everybody. So union contracts are really important for the future.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, David. I know that this has been a really stressful week and there's so much going on, and just we're so grateful that you're sharing this with us, because it's fascinating and it's frustrating. And, Anthony and I are union members and we've been doing this radio show, and we also feel the same way that what we do is unique and creative. And then we see someone like you and we're like, anyone can do what we do. Look at you.
Don't say that.
Well, compared to you, we're
Don't
just like,
say
wow.
That. You guys are always such great friends. I always love talking to you guys. So thank you for having me.